Women's IP World. Women's IP World. Women's IP World.
Welcome to episode 2 of season 4 from the Women's IP World Annual Podcast, a podcast series that's shining a spotlight on women in IP. I'm your host, Michele Katz, and I'm the co-founding partner of the law firm Advitam IP, which in Latin means intellectual property for life. We are based out of the US in Chicago. Me and my firm are hosting this podcast on behalf of Northlands Media PR and Marketing Limited, based out of the UK and London. They are the publishers of the Women's IP World Annual and the Global IP Matrix magazine. The newest edition of the Women's IP World Annual was just released and can be found digitally at www.womensipworld.com. Again, that's www.womensipworld.com. And you can listen to the annual as well on your favorite podcast app. Keep an eye out at IP conferences to pick up your hard copy. It is my pleasure to welcome Sophie Ertl, partner at Maiwald Intellectual Property in Germany. Welcome, welcome.
Hi, Michele. I'm happy to be here.
So how long have you been at your firm?
Well, I'm now for 11 years at Maiwald.
Wow, okay. And so have you been in the patent arena for all of those years?
Before, I've been at another law firm, a very conservative law firm, for another 7 years. And before that, I was working at BMW, but as a normal mechanical engineer for another 3 years.
So your background in mechanical engineering, it seems like a natural fit then to enter patent law. Did you attend law school? How does it work in your jurisdiction?
So in Germany, to become patent attorney, you have to have some engineering studies or scientific studies. So you have to have a master degree, for example, in mechanical engineering, as I have. And then you have to work in your field as a normal engineer for at least a year to gain practical experience. And then only you can start this education to become a patent attorney. And in this education period, it takes another 3 years. You're working for an older patent attorney and learning from the older patent attorney, and at the same time making law studies, but not full law studies, but some maybe half of a normal law studies. And then you have another year which you spend at the patent office and the patent court.
Okay, so you practice primarily prosecution. Is that right?
No,
No?
actually not. Not in my first law firm, I did nothing else but patent litigation. It was a
Okay.
litigation boutique. So I did nothing else than infringement suits, infringement complaints, and cancellation proceedings, infringement proceedings, nullity proceedings for patents, for utility models.
At what point do you prosecute patents?
At the moment, yes, but that's what I'm doing for the first 7 years was only litigation, and then I moved to Maiwald actually to do litigation, and I did it exclusively for another 3 years. And then it somehow shifted that I learned to keep my clients out of the litigation, still in a competitive field, but rather to save the money and not fighting in such an obvious way, but more building up huge defensive walls and not fighting in courts, and rather spending the money on developing products and making patents and
well-written patents, right?
well-written patents.
That's important. And I want to get your thoughts because I do litigation and prosecution.
Yeah.
I've always found that my litigation background helps me in prosecution because I
Yeah.
see where issues can arise with certain wording, for example. So,
Yeah,
have you found that with such an extensive litigation practice? I mean, you said seven years exclusively in litigation and patent related litigation,
yeah,
and now that you are, working with clients, kind of on, it's a little, it's kind of like their well being as a whole, right? As
yeah,
not just litigation attorney.
yeah.
Yeah? Can you talk about your experience now that you've had such a extensive experience in litigation and patent prosecution?
It's definitely. It starts in the claim drafting that you write claims that can be infringed and not nonsense claims that never can be infringed or easily circumnavigated. But it's also to to have a look on the market and have a look on the patents of the competitors and even before have a look on the patent filings of the competitors and start disturbing the patent prosecution processes of your competitors. It's much easier to have what we call third party observations or oppositions. It's much cheaper than having nullity complaints. And there will never be an infringement complaint if you destroy the patent in an opposition proceedings in the first place. So it's a lot of ways which are in the field of prosecution to keep the client forever out of litigation, just by making him strong and by disturbing the competitor.
And I wonder if your background being in house as an engineer really helps.
Mhm.
It's not like often a client comes in, they've already have the issue. They're
Yeah,
you're what you're talking about is more like a holistic look at the client in their market.
yeah, it definitely helps. It helps in the first place when you talk with the inventors, because once I've been a normal engineer, I never invented something, but I know how it feels to be an engineer, to be there, to make experiments, to be in team meetings, to work as an engineer, to always have full schedule all day, meeting, 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 and actually should work something. And then there comes a patent attorney with an email asking, well, should I make option A or B? Please answer until tomorrow. And you think, what an idiot. That's what normally happens. And you have to help the inventors to understand our emails and give reasonable answers and help us to draft reasonable patent applications.
So we kind of have a joke here, in the US where who's the inventor? Should the patent attorney's name go on, right? Um, in your case, though, because you've been on both sides of it,
Yeah,
right? You actually do understand the language, the engineering language. I mean, has that
yeah.
must have helped, I would imagine, in the work that you do by having that background.
Yeah, and understanding the pressure and the daily life of an inventor who is not only an inventor, he's a normal engineer and he actually should work something. He's not an inventor per se, he is an engineer. He should do engineering things and it's not inventing. He has a team leader who tells him to do something all the day and it's not talking with the patent attorney and it's not answering the emails of the patent attorney and it's not correcting our patent applications. There are plenty of tasks for him and none of it is dealing with the patent attorney. We are more or less something he has to do in his spare time.
Right. This is our daily work.
Yeah.
All right. I wanted to ask you, how did you get into engineering in the first place, and were there other women around you?
Well, when I was starting mechanical engineering, there were about 5% females. That's Germany. I think at the moment it's a little bit better, but it's still very male dominated. But it's something I always enjoyed. I like being surrounded by men. And when I started at BMW, I always enjoyed being there. It's a very nice enterprise. It's a very nice atmosphere. It's very friendly and feels like a family. And I did at the same time my PhD. But at the end, after 3 years of doing the PhD, I got somehow bored. And I expected my team leader to give me some more responsibilities, that I become a project leader or a team leader or something. And it just happened nothing.
Hmm.
And then I decided I'm going to move on.
Why do you think that was? Did you, I mean, can we dig in a little bit deeper? Were other people getting promoted or, becoming team leaders around you, or just kind of everyone, it was just kind of stagnant for everyone?
I don't know. I haven't spent too much time on this. I just moved on.
Yeah, from your own personal experience, you were just
Yeah,
saying, well, okay, I'm not whatever else is happening around me, I am not getting
yeah,
promoted or receiving, more. You
yeah,
want to be challenged, right? You
yeah,
wanted something
yeah,
more, challenging. So when you say you like being surrounded by men, of course, I mean, we have to go back to
yeah.
that. What was it about that? Like, I'm sure people would love to know, what was going on inside your mind back in those years.
Hmm. It was just nice to be in 1 year of mechanical engineering students. There were about, well, 600 students, and they're among 5% females, and not all of the females are really looking like girls. So you had a quite outstanding position, and that's nice. That's
Okay.
something I was enjoying it. And the men were all very, very friendly, and not in some kind of strange way, but just nice.
Yeah, they probably wanted to get, who is this strange being here?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Um, and so you mentioned that it hasn't really grown that much. I mean, it's been what, a couple, dare I say, like, well, definitely over a decade, because you've been
Yeah.
with Maiwald for 11 years. So, it's been a couple decades since you were in school. Um, what do you think attributes to the numbers really not increasing?
I think the atmosphere in Germany is in general not very friendly towards technology.
Hmm.
And that's something that's in particular hindering girls from studying technology-based things.
I mean, Sophie, you really kind of went against the fray then. I mean, and this was
Yes.
years ago. Like, you had your mindset that this is what you want to do, and you went and did it.
Yeah.
When you weren't feeling like you were getting the promotion or the challenge that you
Yeah.
thought you were ready for, you
Yeah.
moved on. And
Yeah.
so, but not everyone maybe is driven in that way, or culturally speaking, they maybe go into different areas, more like non-tech areas. I
Yeah.
think that's why, at least here in the States, we've got like these STEM programs, girls that code. There are things to
Yeah.
try to move the needle
Yeah. Yeah.
in
We have
that.
that too in Germany. We have it too. And I do such things. I'm working as a mentor for the Technical University of Munich for decades, because I've been a mentee when I was a student, and it helped me a lot.
Hmm,
And as soon as I'm grown up, I was working as a mentor, and I'm still doing it. But it's moving slowly.
moving
It's
slowly,
definitely
yeah.
moving slowly. And my first law firm, that's the one, they found me. They asked me when I was bored and looking for a challenge. They found me and asked me if I want to become a patent attorney. And they brought this idea to me, which is great, because otherwise I wouldn't be here.
No, that changed the whole course of your career, your
Definitely,
life.
definitely. But they are horribly conservative. And at the end, they told me, well, we are not making a female equity partner.
Hmm.
And then that's the reason why I'm no longer there.
Oh, okay. Well, they were very transparent at some point.
Yeah, but it was quite late. So
No, I
7 years
know. You
is
hit your
quite
head on the
late.
ceiling. Like, you literally hit your head on the ceiling.
Exactly.
Wow, okay. And I mean, they had a policy? I mean, I can't, it just seems so mind-boggling to hear that you were told that.
Yeah, well, it's nothing they would
Mhm.
officially say.
Understood, understood. Well, that is fascinating, and clearly you
Yeah,
found a place that lets you grow and become a partner,
definitely.
and that's
Yeah,
beautiful. You found the place you needed to be.
yeah. Maiwald is really great in this perspective. That's from the start. The founder, Maiwald, always hired females and allowed them to grow. And one of our most senior partner is a female.
Hmm.
And there always have been females and strong females, and then there have been female partners, and this attracted more females. And like this, we have 55% of our employees are female and 41% of our partners are female, which is extraordinary for Germany.
Yeah, I mean, that's very impressive, and definitely you would stand out. I mean, clearly your firm is a supporter of women in law, you know, just
Yeah,
even being a part of this podcast shows
yeah.
that they're supportive, and being, involved in contributing articles to the women's IP world. So we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll talk about your article in the latest Women's IP World Annual.
The candidate research process for the Women's IP World Annual 2025 has begun. We are thrilled to announce that the 6th annual edition of the Women's IP World Annual 2025 is on the horizon, and we are actively seeking influential, innovative women in the IP industry to join our vibrant and growing community of professionals. By participating, you'll join an exclusive network of women making significant impacts across all sectors of IP law and beyond. If you're interested in contributing or would like to recommend a colleague, we encourage you to contact us today. Together, we can continue to inspire the next generation of women in IP and promote a more inclusive and collaborative global IP community. Find all our contact information at www.womensipworld.com. We look forward to welcoming you to our global community.
Welcome back. We're on page 70, just in case anyone has the digital or wants to look up in the digital or hard copy. The article we're going to talk about is called Unlocking Intellectual Property Efficiency, a comparative analysis of the EP patent, the DE patent, the German utility model, and the Unitary Patent. Okay, so you're on, Sophie. I want to get like the cliff notes for people, because whether you're a European lawyer or you're a US lawyer, wherever you are in the world, there are pros and cons to pursuing any of these paths. And if we want to sound educated when we're talking to our clients, we all need to know the benefits of these various options. So I'll let you take it over from here for where you want to start. But the idea is so we can kind of get a sense between these four patent processes, the pros and cons, so we know what do we recommend to our client?
Well, what everyone probably knows is the EP patent, which works in a lot of countries, I think 38, but is quite expensive if you're only a small or medium company or a sole inventor. And in this case, you should rather think about the German patent. It's much cheaper. The filing is only about 300 euros, and you can do it in English, and you get the search report in English. You would only need the translation into German after a year. So you have a good basis for deciding if you want to proceed or not. And you can even extend it because you have to ask for the examination only within 7 years. So it buys you even more time than a PCT application.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely a lot cheaper and you have more time. And then if you think of Germany as a market, it's a very large market, a strong and powerful market. And then you have the geographic position in the center of Europe, where it has these lots of frontiers with the plurality of our neighboring countries. Then you have the Alps crossing, you have the important harbors. So you have a very good position that you can not only block Germany itself, but by all these frontiers also can at least disturb the neighboring countries.
So if you have a DE patent,
Hmm.
you can you enforce it in neighboring countries? You can.
No,
Oh,
no, you
okay, because that's
can't.
what I didn't
But
understand. Okay, because EP
but
patent
if
you
you
can,
block Germany,
only
you
Germany.
have a third of the population of Europe. You have the center and the heart of Europe. You have the country with most of the economy. So most of the time, this is fully sufficient.
If you're in a situation where there's, say in France, infringer entering the market there,
Yeah.
you can't get the DE patent, obviously, to block
No,
France. You would
no.
need the EP or something else,
Yeah,
maybe that we haven't talked about yet. Okay,
yeah.
got
But
it.
what normally happens when an EP patent is litigated in Europe, in particular before the Unified Patent Court, then normally you need to litigate the European patent in one of the national states. And normally then Germany is chosen because it's the strongest, largest, and so on state. And then this decision is anyway used for the other countries to settle. So then again, you
Mm,
can only file in Germany, have the same effect for tenth part of the cost.
yes. Okay, let's get into the German utility model.
Yeah, that's definitely a hidden gem. Nobody knows it, and it's something you get registered after 3 days, and then it's there, and then you can file your infringement action immediately after. So you
Three
can decide
days.
you.
Three
Yeah, exactly.
days. That's like,
Yes.
for us, it's like 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And the secret is that it's not examined. It's only someone is looking over it, but that's it. And then during the infringement court hearing, you can also deal with the validity, which is normally not the case in Germany because we have this bifurcation system. But this does not apply for the utility model. So you are in the courtroom with the infringement judges, and then you can discuss within, of course, the original disclosure, but then you can discuss with the judges on novelty, inventive step, and infringement, and amend the claims to make it fit, which is the perfect situation. You can't get into a better situation as long as the original disclosure is sufficient to solve the problem. You get it solved in the courtroom and then have the claims to get your competitor off the market. And
Amazing.
that's the
Amazing.
best tool ever, and no one knows about it.
What about, so when you get the judge, is it a judgment then that
Yes,
in the end? Okay,
it's
so there's a judgment, maybe the patent's been amended in a certain way, it's now fixed. Okay. Can you
yeah.
then take the judgment elsewhere?
It applies for all Germany.
All
It's
of
like it's
Germany.
the same court and the same judges as for a patent. It's
And
our local district courts, or yeah, it's a
do
normal
you know if any of the neighboring countries have the same concept? Like, let's go back to France again. Is there a French utility model?
There is a French utility model, but it's different, and I don't know the details on it.
Well, I won't
So
expect you to be an expert there. I was just curious because, when I
yeah,
was reading your article and I saw the 3 days, my mind was just blown on that.
mm,
What a tool
yeah,
to use to block, to secure your market share. I
yeah,
mean, really, it's what we're
definitely.
trying to do. Okay, so now what about the unitary patent?
Well, the unitary patent is only an option after the EP examination and prosecution. So only after you have your normal examination, you get your intention to grant, and then you have 1 month to decide if you want the unitary patent or if you want to have the normal EP patent.
Okay.
So it's just something you have to decide, and one of the factors is the costs. If you want to validate your EP patent in more than 4 countries, then the unitary patent would be cheaper.
I see.
That's one factor, but it has one disadvantage. The unitary patent is always in the competence of the Unified Patent Court, and this means always the threat of the central revocation. So one revocation attack and you lose it in all the 18 member states
Oh,
at
that's a
once.
pretty big risk.
Exactly, exactly.
How does one decide? I mean, how, whether to go for unitary, to check that box?
Well, normally we rather suggest not to go for the unitary
Unitary?
patent and also to opt out the European patents so that the European patents, which are no unified patents, are not in the competence of the Unified Patent Court.
Mm.
Because that's the other problem. Normally, now all the old European patents and also the European patents which are now granted go automatically in the competence of the new Unified Patent Court, which means central revocation threat. And this is something we suggest to avoid. And the only option is to get the patent granted as the normal EP patent and then opt it out. That's the term for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a request. You say, I want to opt out, and then it goes back in the competence of the old national courts.
Is there any circumstance you can think of where it makes sense to do the unitary patent, to check that box?
Yes, when it's extremely important to save costs and you want to validate in really a plurality of countries, when it's only about costs,
Okay.
or if you really want to litigate in a plurality of countries, and you're really sure that your patent is strong and you don't have to fear this central revocation threat.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go to the Unified Patent Court and sue your competitor in all countries at once, but only in one court, which saves you a lot of cost.
Okay, is everyone hearing this? It's very important to talk to Sophie before you are filing where Germany's important for your client. I mean, that's the bottom line.
Or if Europe is important.
Well, Europe, but I mean, if Europe is important, I understand that, but specifically Germany. Because, for example, if you do the DE patent, you're going to have enforceability issues if you want to enforce outside. EP, that's going to help you. But if you're low on funds and you want, broad coverage, then you need to check the, unitary patent.
Yeah.
Am I getting this? more or less?
Yes.
All right. Well, this is fantastic stuff. What else? Is there something I haven't asked you that you want to bring up? Because we're actually, it goes quick. We're actually close to time.
Well, what I really enjoy doing is making strategy.
Yes.
Making strategy for the clients. I really love playing around with all these tools and finding the perfect strategy for the client. If someone has just a pile of problems to sort it out and make out of a huge pile of problems a wonderful strategy, that's what I really enjoy. So if someone is listening, that's what I love doing.
Yes, and well, I'm listening. You have me in your court. I'm into strategy as well because and when you listen to your client, this is where listening skills is so important. When you're listening to what the goals of your client, what are the goals of the client? Okay, what's the budget of the client? What are they trying to accomplish? Who, like you said prior, who else is in the marketplace? Are these legitimate competitors or not?
Yeah.
It's okay to have some competition, but is someone actually trying to enter your market share? Do we have the ability to keep them out?
Yeah.
Certainly infringement is an issue. Well, thank you so much, Sophie, for, really shedding so much light on this area, because I think a lot of us out there, out here in the IP world, we're not doing exactly what you're doing, but yet we want to educate ourselves so that we can help our clients. We want our clients to be put in the best position possible for whatever their goals are. To our listeners, please like, follow, share with your friends, but also feel free to send comments and questions. Thank you so much, Sophie, for your time and expertise. It was so valuable.
Thank you, Michele. It was a pleasure, really. It was really fun.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Women's IP World. Women's IP World.
You have been listening to the Women's IP World podcast, hosted by Michele Katz from Advitam IP in Chicago, USA, on behalf of Northlands Media PR and Marketing Limited in the United Kingdom.
Women's IP World.